Hi, how are you guys today? This is Barbara Glenn with Silent Generation. The reason we created Silent Generation is to help protect our elders. I never found myself someone who would be protecting our elders. I wasn't quite sure actually how bad elderly abuse and extortion existed in today's society. And actually, if you research elderly extortion, there's not a whole lot of talk about it. I got involved in this case and realized that the silent generation is the last innocent generation. Richard Ronald Brouwer is one of the most decent men that I've met in my lifetime. He's 93. He gets around good. He walks around. He gets on tractors. He gets on lawnmowers. He cleans his yards. He cuts down trees. He takes down twigs. He's constantly working. And he's of good health and sound in mind at 93. I truly believe Mr. Brouwer will probably reach over 100 years old because of his way of living. And I find myself asking, wow, what am I doing wrong? Because I sometimes have days I just feel horrible. And this little man just scoots all around me, and I'm in my late 40s. So I have to ask that question. But he is just a very caring person, and Mr. Brouwer is the most genuine. That's the word I'm looking for. He is one of the most genuine, honest. He is the most genuine person I have met in my lifetime, besides my grandmother. And to come to realize the silent generation is from the last generation of innocence. And he went into the war. He came out a vet. He became a firefighter, stayed a firefighter for 30 years, became a captain, retired firefighter. He gets a pension every month. And now he has to worry with that pension on what debt he has to pay due to Martha Lee Bird. Martha Lee Bird embezzled so much money from Richard Brouwer that it left him pretty much on the edge of bankruptcy. So we have been fighting to get everything back from Mr. Brouwer. We're getting him lawyers. We're trying to make sure that he's okay because, I've grown to love the guy. Like, I truly love him like a grandfather. And I think what's happened in society today is we have lost that touch of compassion and empathy. You have to ask, where has it gone? Is the generation our children are growing up in today going to be a hateful, crude, mean, sarcastic, non-caring generation? So non-caring that after investigating Richard's case, I have got so many other cases of elderly extortion and elderly abuse that they should not exist. But people are beating on our elders and they're raping them and they're stealing from them. And what is really being done? I'm trying to figure out, maybe this was what God has me on earth for. Maybe it was to save Mr. Brouwer. And maybe after I save him, my days will be up. Who knows? But everybody has a purpose. And maybe I'm here for him. Because he would not be where he is now if my mother would not have called me and said, Barbara, I know you're an advocate. I know you go after predators and pedophiles. I need you to look into this. And I need you to see what you think about what's going on. And I'm like, okay. So I came up and I seen what I definitely didn't expect to see. I will say that. But this half-cocked crazy woman was robbing this man blind and had him convinced that he had murdered someone, that he had to marry her because social services was going to put him in a nursing home. He literally believed everything she said. This woman told him his houseboat broke loose in Portland, and only I think people out in Portland are going to understand this, or anybody who has houseboats. A houseboat is like on logs, connected to sewer, like all kinds of stuff. And this woman tells him his houseboat floated away and she needed him to sign some paperwork because his houseboat floated away. That's impossible. Completely impossible. But because of his innocence, on that one, he didn't really believe her. He didn't know what to think. But then we later found out she was actually physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive. Not only did she extort from him, she scared him. And that's why I like to get his videos out there. I just would love America to meet this guy. He is literally the most awesome 93-year-old you can meet. He's just got a great personality, and he's such a caring person. That's why he was a firefighter. He just loves, and he wants to be loved back. So I want America to love him as much as I've grown to love him. Let him be your grandpa. Let him be, when you think about somebody that really needs rescuing, Mr. Brouwer really needs rescuing. And nobody's doing anything. We're fighting a county that has a leading investigator that just doesn't give a shit. Didn't care that 2 dogs got murdered. Don't care that this woman pretty much shot at him. Don't care. I mean, there's evidence that he's never even come to look at. We've brought back evidence from Portland. He doesn't care, doesn't take calls, doesn't return calls. So we are going to start blasting and getting media attention and getting whatever attention we can bring to Mr. Brouwer, because he is the man that deserves it because of what he's done for our country and actually what he's done for Portland. And for Portland to ignore this case is blown my mind. He was a firefighter. And I called the fire department in Portland, Oregon. And you want to know what that son of a bitch said to me? Well, what do you want me to do about it? That was the attitude I got. And you know what they said at Wells Fargo? Well, what does he need money for? He's 93. You know what this deputy that's the leading investigator said? He's not going to get anything back. Just let him live out the rest of his days. Nobody cares that this man enjoys working. This man deserves what belongs to him. He did not deserve for someone to come and take and steal his father's home and sell it. And that's really disturbing, because that was his home. His father gave it to him. He inherited that home for $1. His father made him pay $1, but his father gave him that home for his self-entitled family members and Martha Bird to embezzle from him. And it's just shocking that no one gives a shit. We set up a GoFundMe for him. We had one individual donate money, and the other people donating money was us. I mean, we have donated a lot to Mr. Brouwer in general, but we wanted to get the GoFundMe started, so we put $85 in there, and then we got a $100 donation, which, by the way, I'm very grateful, and I know who the donator is, so I just want to tell you, he is greatly appreciative of it, because everything for his GoFundMe goes to Mr. Brouwer. So it's for his debt. He should not have to take his pension and pay off what Martha Bird has built up, what she's embezzled and extorted from this man. She didn't just sell his property, she kidnapped him, took him from his friends, his family, his associates, his life and way of living on the water, his peaceful life and way of living on the water, and his happiness, and she isolated him. This woman brought him, sat him in a motel, no clothes, except what he had in one bag. Well, to this day, the only clothes Mr. Brouwer has is the clothes that myself, and my family has gotten him. When he told me he had no clothes, the very next day I went out shopping. I mean, wouldn't you? I don't understand why the people in America wouldn't think that would be the right thing to do. But instead, the attitude that we're getting back on this is like, well, the only reason they're helping us because they want something out of it, or, it's like nobody has compassion for him. Nobody wants to just reach out and help him. And he actually needs your help. He needs the American people to speak up for him. That quote. So we're seeing something, we're saying something, and nothing's getting done about it. You got corporations like insurance companies. You've got other companies that I won't mention their name that offer prizes, and they literally hunt and target elders. They target his age. His age group. Guarantee you 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds right now don't get the envelopes that he gets. Guarantee it. I would bet money on it. If we were to get the mailing list from this company, which by the way I'm going to do, I could prove that they will be the age of 70 and up that get 5 envelopes a week. Guarantee it. You are our number one customer. You are on the list. You're about to get it. You're right there. Just another 5 items, and you're even closer today. You're right on top of the game. You're gonna be the one. You're our best client. Now, every letter that the silent generation gets and reads that, they believe. Why? Because they believe in the innocent generation. They don't know the dishonesty of this corporation that is actually robbing them of almost $2,000 a month. And then you want to know what's said when that happens? Oh, well, then that person must have dementia or Alzheimer's. No, they don't have to have dementia or Alzheimer's because somebody is promising. It's like people that go play the lottery. Because they play the lottery, should you come in and take everything they own and stick them in a nursing home? I mean, just curious. If you go out and buy a lottery ticket and think you're going to win and you got that winning number, does that mean you need to be stuck in a nursing home? All your money taken away by the state? So what I've learned about elderly extortion is that it's not just caregivers and family members, it's companies, it's businesses, and it's become big business. So what do they say? Follow the money. Elderly extortion, this case especially, where he was kidnapped from Portland, Oregon, brought to Alabama where he knew no one, he didn't know how to get around, he knew nothing about the town, but the man survived. I can say that for him. He was stuck in a motel for 3 months while this woman said, "Oh, I have to go back to the doctor. I have to get some more treatments," or whatever the fuck her lies were at that point in time. Goes to Portland. No, she didn't have to go to the doctor. She went to Portland and signed and sold his father's house. She only came back to put him in another house that she put in her name as a single woman. And by the way, the attorney that did this paperwork, what a piece of shit he is. Because you can't tell me that you don't know that this woman is defrauding this man when she asks you to write wife on one document, single woman on another document when it's using that man's money. What a piece of shit. So anyway, she brings him to Alabama, and then she would only come to Alabama maybe a couple days out of the month when he got his pension check. She would empty his bank, then she would go back to Portland. We have the documents that show her kids receiving thousands, and I'm not talking a $2,000 or $3,000 here, honey. I'm talking at times $500 a day, like every couple days. Scott, Justin, Carmela, and cashier's checks, $50,000, $25,000. So it's not just her extorting Mr. Brouwer. It's also the kids. It was a planned thing. They planned to rob him. They got him out of Portland. They went back, and the very houseboat that I was speaking of earlier that supposedly broke loose, her son's living in. The woman who robs him places her son in that houseboat with no intentions of ever returning Mr. Brouwer home. She brought him to Alabama to die, and she thought she was going to get away with it, but she's not. So I'm going to take this as high as I have to take it to Portland and in Alabama. I want justice, and I want justice from anyone who was associated to embezzling and selling all of his real estate and emptying out his bank accounts. And I will get that justice. And I'd like the American people to follow along with this documentary. We actually will be filming an actual documentary. So a lot of the segment stuff that you see and hear on the podcast will be part of the documentary. And I will start even taking callers and people. I would love to hear your support and your comments and have followers. And, I really think that deep down in your heart, you can find some kind of love for Mr. Brouwer. You just can't not. He is really a swell guy. And I have my home in Florida. I've literally given up my family and my home and my life and my way of living to be here to support Mr. Brouwer and to get justice. Because what's happened to him is wrong on so many levels I can't even begin to describe on how bad this is. And hopefully if you follow along the case, you will realize and see how bad it is and why he needs your support. And the more people that show him the support, the better it's going to make him feel. Because I don't want him to get sad and depressed and feel lonely and defeated. Because right now, like today, I on this next episode, I'll do an attachment to part 2 to hear the conversation from today. You can hear the defeat. He says, why are they not doing anything? Why is she still free? Why was she allowed to use $250,000 of my money to pay her bond? Why is she out on the streets? You know, we got her arrested, ladies and gentlemen, but she's free. She's able to do and still try to steal and use his credit and write checks, and nobody's doing anything about it. And now when we call the police, they don't answer the phone. They don't return any calls. So the only time they return a call is when they knew I was talking to the networks and getting Mr. Brouwer, which I will be getting right at this point in time. We didn't want to get him on the network because with all the political stuff and the election going on, his story would have just got drowned. His story needs to be heard because his story will probably save thousands and thousands of other elders. And I want to find nursing homes. I want to know why nursing homes don't have cameras. Why does nursing homes not have cameras? First I would never, but if I had to put my mom or someone in a nursing home, I would make sure it was in an establishment that I could look on my phone at any point in time and look back, see how her day was, see what was going on. Why is this not being done? Why can't people actually watch to see how their family's being treated? Because you spend a lot of money, those people, and if you're not spending money, they're taking some type of social security check or taking the money that your elder makes. So they're making money. It's all the money game. Follow the money, ladies and gentlemen. These people get so many elders that it's only just about the money. Do they really care? I mean, we're going to be interviewing some people that run nursing homes and find out what it's like in these places so that we can help educate on what you need to do to protect your elders. I'm also going to educate you on the first steps we took to protect Mr. Brouwer. And one thing I learned very quickly after the murder of our dogs, the brutal murder of our dogs with witnesses, and the officer did not care and did not take the evidence and did not take photos and did not take fingerprints. Just said, get cameras. So you know what I did? I got cameras. I got cameras for Mom. I got cameras for Mr. Brouwer. And now they're under 24-hour security. So, good idea. We should have our elders on camera. You know, we have cops on cameras now to protect ourselves. I don't think they have them here in Alabama, actually, because you can't even get public records in Alabama. So I doubt very seriously they're going to let you see what they do here in this part of the country. But anyway, that, is a total different conversation for a total different day. What I'm just trying to show you is what my show is going to be about, what we'd like you guys to follow us for, and it's, this is a big deal, and I think the people in America need to know about it, and I think you need to really think about your grandmother, your grandfather, where you place them, or who's around them, because this is a business, ladies and gentlemen, and these people are planning. They are plotting and planning to move in on your elder. There are people out there, believe it or not, sitting in their living room looking through obituaries to find out if they have lost a mother or father, feeling grieving or lonely. They check out their family. They do all kinds of research, and they move in and they rob them. They steal their real estate. They steal their bank accounts. They take them and isolate them away from everyone. She even forwarded his calls, took his identification. He couldn't even leave if he wanted to. And he had no one to call. And the saddest part about it is that finally, when he was able to call after he was established in Alabama for a year, at that point in time, once he talked to his nephew and them, they didn't even come and get him. So that's the situation that no one should be put in. No one should be ever put in that situation. I mean, I don't understand the circumstances as why his son could not calm down, or his grandson. I don't know their situation, but what I do know is if it was my grandfather, I would have done whatever it took. I mean, maybe that's just me. Maybe I was bred different, because there is no way in hell that I would have allowed this to ever have to happen. And that falls on what has happened to our country. Have we just become so divided? What happened to family reunions, ladies and gentlemen? You know, when families get together, like our family, we don't have family reunions anymore. What? Because grandmother's gone? When she died, did everything die with her? I mean, family's family. Regardless of whatever happens, you should always have family. But now family is so divided that this is what comes out of that. The hatred, the crime. This is no different than a child being raped. What happened to Mr. Brouwer is no different. So think about that. If your child was to be raped, what the effect of that rape will do to that child for a lifetime is the effect that an elder has on this type of abuse for what life he has left. There's not really a lot of counseling he can get because he's 93. The damage has been done, and he will die with this damage. And that's the worst part about this. Elderly abuse is, if you leave an elder to die in such a horrible way, then you are truly a horrible human being. Because a child can get therapy, but what can an elder do? Because those are their last days, the days they should love and live and laugh and have life until their breath is gone. Their life should not be of cruelty, mean, robbery, poor, and homeless. And this woman left him to be homeless. So thank you guys for joining the show. I hope you guys will watch our podcast and follow us as we chase this woman down. My goal is to have her in custody in both states and charged with kidnapping, extortion on the highest level, and have her 2 sons charged as accessories, because they absolutely planned and executed to bring him to Alabama so they could rob him and steal his money. And the leading investigator said, "Oh, I've spoke to the son, and he's such a great kid. He's the rich one." Actually, no, he's not the rich one. He got out of jail. She's been saying that he's got money because it was Mr. Brouwer's money. So don't get it twisted. I have everything on each one of these individuals. And this case, you want to follow it because it's interesting, and you will see exactly what we're dealing with on a daily basis. So I hope to see followers, and I hope to see you guys sharing us and getting us out there. Thank you. This is Barbara Blinn. Please go to our website, support us. Please go to his GoFundMe, support him. No, everything he gets goes to him. www.silentgeneration.org and Richard Ronald Brouwer GoFundMe. Thank you guys. Love you. Love America. Stay great.